Hi there, Tom. I'm John Stallard. I'm the CEO of Warlord Games in Nottingham, in England.
Lovely. So, talk about. How did Warlord Games start then? Like, kind of where? Like, take me back to the beginning. What?
Oh, take you back 18 years now. And John Stallard, me, and my partner in crime, Paul Sawyer, who's recently passed away, sadly, we both were made redundant from Games Workshop. And whilst we were both being reprocessed to go into the real world and find real jobs, we found ourselves meeting up a few times. And so I said to Paul, why don't we get together a historical gaming company? Because Games Workshop, which we both knew and loved, is a big fantasy and science fiction company. But Paul and I both love historical subjects, and even when we were at Games Workshop, we attempted to do a few historical things, but it was not to be. That's not what Games Workshop wanted or Games Workshop was, so fair enough. So we thought we'd get together and make a box of 28mm plastic Romans, because it hadn't been done before. Unbeknown to us, the wonderful cheeky Perry twins, who were still working at Games Workshop, were developing a box set of 28mm American Civil War. And they finished theirs about a month before we got our Romans out. So they got first out there in 28mm plastic market, but that's all right. But we got the first Romans out. Chose Romans because everybody loves a Roman. It's just such a classic imagery. And so I put my redundancy money, or some of my redundancy money, into a box of plastic soldiers, which cost us £24,000 for the tooling, probably up to £10,000 for the original sculpts. And then you've then got to get them painted and boxed and instruction leaflets done and all that. So at the end of the day, it was an investment of about £40,000, which was a lot of money for one plastic box set.
Were they made with a specific game in mind, or was it just something like almost like a hobby project that you wanted?
They were not a specific game, though Warhammer Ancients was our favoured one,
Yeah,
written by Rick Priestley. That's the one we used to play, so that's what we thought it would probably go to, but they could be used in any other games as well. And so we put those out into the world to see what happened, and thank God people loved them. And so we very quickly did some extra, another couple of sprues, one including different heads and different shields to make Praetorian Guard. So that gave us a second box set. And then we thought we'd be a bit cheeky and did another small frame, which for say £6,000, which made them veterans. So we gave them battered shields and battered helmets and some extra armour to make them the guys who fought against the Dacians. They wore that sort of gladiator type extra armour to protect from the dreaded falxes and romphairs that the Romanians used, big double-handed axe things, swords. So by making some small adjustments, we suddenly got 3 box sets out. And then some Celts, thank God, which we did similar tricks on, putting out some metal heads to make Germans and Gauls and British and Dacians, in fact. So it was the mother of invention, necessity.
Sure. Yeah. And something you've kind of just alluded to is talking about the armor on the arm there, the kind of historical accuracy then, I suppose, of the sculpts.
Yes, they were. We did a lot of research. Paul was very good at that. That was one of. I didn't know much about the Romans, but Paul knew quite a lot.
Sure.
And so that was very important in getting that out there. And Paul came up with the name of Warlord as well. It was very nearly called Dauntless Miniatures, which would have been all right, but I think Warlord's more us.
To it. Yeah, sure. So I suppose there was an element of trust for you then in putting trust into Paul, I suppose, like if you didn't know too much about the Romans.
That's right. Well, he was passionate about it. I thought, well, okay, let's go with the one you know. But for me, the obvious one to go for was World War II. Sure. Very few people had tried to do 28mm World War II. The main guys were a chap called were 2 lads who had a company called Bolt Action Miniatures, which has some really nicely sculpted miniatures, and but it's a small range in metal, and a couple of eccentric resin vehicles, not the ones you'd imagine you'd get out first, but there we go. And they had this company, and Paul Hicks and Simon Bargery, that's their names, very nice guys. And I said, that's what we should be doing. We should be doing World War II. And so we went to see them, and they had real jobs as well. So they're running 2 jobs, and they couldn't really put all their efforts into Bolt Action. So we bought the rights and the models, and took them in and got together with Alessio, who I gave him the briefing. I said, look, we want a game. We're going to call it Bolt Action because it's already an established name. But we need a proper set of rules. And I gave him the brief because Alessio knew nothing at all about World War II, it has to be said.
Sure.
Nothing at all, not the faintest clue, which he was the first to tell us. But I said, I wanted a game that's like Rogue Trader or 40K, the original book that Rick Priestley wrote all those years ago, which would have up to 30 models aside, tops, some sort of tank or armoured car, and some sort of anti-tank weapon, if you like, heavy weapons, some sort. So that was the brief. 3 sections of infantry each side, a vehicle and an anti-tank gun, and that's the sort of level we wanted it to be. So I suppose it's a platoon level at the most.
Sure.
And Alessio, who's very good at taking an idea and developing, that's exactly what he did. First of all, he read up massively on World War II, supplied him with all our books, and he's like a sponge. He's now very, very competent about World War II, I can tell you. He's got it. He eats, breathes and sleeps World War II now. He never knew it was so fascinating. And so that's how we got to Bolt Action. But in between, Rick Priestley and Jervis Johnson had written a set of rules called Black Powder, which is battles from 1700 to 1900. And they were going to put it through Warhammer Historicals, because Games Workshop did have a small historical book section, but never models. And when I left, Rick very kindly swiped that book for me and offered it to Warlord Games for £1 and a curry. So we got that great book, and that was 18 years ago. It's its 2nd edition now, still selling very, very well. And then Rick was good enough to write Hail Caesar, which gave us another set of rules, of course, for our Romans. And we've done that on 2nd edition of that as well now. So
that's an epic scale kind of.
No, 28mm.
Oh, is it?
All 28mm, yeah. And after that, so we bought out more and more stuff. And then my pal Steve, who's our sales manager, he did a pike and shot supplement. So that gave us the Renaissance as well. Sure. So we've got now the ancients all the way up to early medieval. Then we got pike and shot all the way through to Black Powder. So it's only really the medieval bit we haven't completely covered yet, but you can cover most of it with Hail Caesar, funnily enough.
Yeah, sure.
Fighting didn't change that much with sword and spear. So we do everything now from ancient Egyptian through to the Korean War. We've got a Korean War supplement for Bolt Action. So, and a range of 14,000 different models that we've got now.
Yeah, sure. Can you talk a little bit about the research, I suppose, that goes into developing these games? I mean, for one thing, we've also obviously got the kind of historical accuracy element to Warlord Games compared to Games Workshop's purely, science fiction or fantasy, but also the market research, I suppose, in what historical period are you going to look at next? So how do you kind of tackle those elements, I suppose?
Well, we're all pretty keen on history here. Sure. So, and most of us have got a book inside us somewhere along. I wrote an English Civil War book for Warhammer Historical many years ago now, 24 years ago now, and that was my book. I've just written another one, or co-writing one, on the Boer War. That's another interest of mine. So that's one that hopefully will come out later on this year. But that's going to be interesting because Boer War was 1899 to 1901. So it's on the cusp of Black Powder, where Black Powder finishes at 1900. By then, the Lee Metford and Lee Enfield rifles and Mausers are coming in. So in the actual book, what we're going to do is we're going to put in Black Powder rules for the big games, for the big battles, where the British cavalry with lance and sword. And we'll also include Bolt Action rules for the close-up actions of infantry squads and machine guns, which are pom-pom guns, which were
a nice
so you'll be able to put both in, so you can fight either way. So that's quite exciting.
Yeah, sure. What about the market research that goes into developing a game?
Oh, market research, you do none.
No, sure.
No, and I say that not in an arrogant way. I don't mean it like that.
Yeah, sure.
I mean it entirely like Games Workshop never does market research. You just got to make it great, and those that like it will come. And that gets proven time after time, because if you ask everybody, they'll all tell you something different, because war games are wargamers. We all want something different. We tried out that with our Epic system 4 years ago. I was watching a video of an American Civil War reenactment from 10 years ago, and a Union brigade came down the hill, all on camera, and a Union brigade, probably 400 men, so nearly a regiment of the time. And I was watching it and thinking, why does that not look like a war games table, a war games unit? What's the difference? And the difference was all the men are packed literally shoulder to shoulder. And so every front rank there's no gaps. And if there is a gap, there's another guy behind because they're too deep. Sure. So you see a wall of blue coming towards you. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between war games armies, because in 28mm, what people do is they use perhaps 24 models to represent 600 men, and they leave big gaps, huge gaps, because they're too mean to buy too many models. And then it doesn't look like an American Civil War regiment coming forward. So we thought, well, let's try it in epic scale. So we went back to, if you remember War Master, some of you will remember War Master from Games Workshop years ago. So we pinched a trick from Rick there and made 50mm models and had them all joined at the shoulder. So you get strips of 10 men and 2 strips of 10 men. That gives you a base, and put down 5 bases. So you've got 100 men all packed tight, and it actually looks like an American Civil War regiment. So that everybody thought, well, we weren't sure that was going to work. But we put it out there and we sold so much of it. We sold, over 8,000 box sets of it at way over £100 a time. So it shows that if I'd asked people, did they want 15mm American Civil War, they would have said, not really, I've probably got my army. So when you present it to them though, and there's over 2,400 miniatures in there for what was then £100, it's gone up a bit since then. People think, well, this is so great, I can't not buy it. But they wouldn't have told you that's what they wanted.
Yeah, sure.
So
it's a funny way of getting.
So what I do, So what I do is listen to the response. I love listening to. So then, whether they've responded well, that's great. That proves that work. Well, the next one to do might be Napoleonics or Ancients, because we did Hannibal the other day. Going back to you said what scale are they all? So we did Hannibal. Well, that's all about the elephants. Everybody knows. Even I know about Hannibal and elephants.
Even I know about
and it's probably way overstated, his use of elephants, but that's all we know. So we thought, let's make some cool elephants, and start selling those, and everything else will go off that. And sure enough, we sold it really well. Yeah, it's all about the elephants.
It looks cool on the table.
It does look cool. It's fantastic. And we even did some separate elephant heads. I said, we got them in plastic. I said, no, make some more. So we made these veteran elephant heads, which sounds ludicrous. But I said, believe it, it'll be great. So we got one with a broken tusk, one with one eye. It's a one-eyed elephant who looks just pissed off. And then we had another one with a Roman light infantry in his trunk being smashed to the ground. So and just people were buying those and adding them. Because it's cool. Rule of cool.
Exactly.
Your words, absolutely that.
Yeah, sure.
But if you'd asked people, they wouldn't have said, if only you could do some enraged elephant heads.
Yeah.
A few people might ask for that, but not enough to make you do it.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about how the company then has developed? I mean, obviously you've got these game systems that you've grown over a number of years, but we're obviously here now in the Warlord offices. You've got casting room next door and everything. Like how has that all come about, I suppose?
Tom, that's a really good question. It happens through happenstance.
Sure.
I'd like to pretend it's all been a master plan over the last 18 years, but it's not. When Paul and I set it up, we never intended to have we intended to have an office, but that was about it. We certainly didn't intend to have a factory, and we were going to put everything out to third party. Because running factories is hard work. And expensive. Yeah. But buying it in third party is so much neater. You don't have to get your hands literally dirty. And I thought we could survive that way just by getting things done for us. But our various suppliers started to let us down a bit. And when you take a customer's money, you've got to be able to get the stuff to them pretty much on time. And if we're being let down by our supplier, of course the customer's contract is with you, not the supplier, so they get mad at us. So then they say, well, okay. So I did a deal with Games Workshop, funnily enough, about acquiring their old casting machines, because they were throwing them all out. And casting machines are as rare as hen's teeth these days, because they ain't making them anymore, really. So I did a lovely deal with them. They were very kind, and I got their casting machines. So that then kind of forced me into getting a factory.
Yeah, you need a space
to put them out. So we housed them and started using them, and found a couple of old casters from Games Workshop. Games Workshop are very good trainers, and we've all been very well trained in all basics of business. So finding people to cut moulds and do the casting was not difficult. They're all out there.
I think it's something that's been, from the interviews I've done, I mean, even going as far back as like Brian Ansell, kind of teaching people how to like cut moulds and things.
Well, Brian Ansell was our old boss from the old days, and so many people learnt their trade from Brian.
Exactly.
And there wasn't anything he couldn't cast, that's for sure.
Or sell.
Or sell. He was quite a remarkable man. He really was. Taught me all I know about business, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes the hard way, but it was the right way. Yeah. So before we knew it, we had a factory, and with that, of course, comes an admin and a mail order department, and a customer service department. Then comes with that, and before you know it, you've got a small unit. It was all for a year. It was all from my kitchen table. It really was 2 men and my dog called Molly, and it was 3 of us against the world. But now we've got 103 people, which is big for a toy soldier company. Not big as
I hadn't realised.
Yeah, 103. Yeah.
Yeah, blimey.
I say it's still a very small company in some ways, but certainly growing. Being based in Nottingham, it's great because people arrive pre-trained. I can't understand why.
We're in the lead belt.
In the lead belt, as you say. And so and then we had started adding more ranges, because there's a whole of history to go at. And the good news about history is it's still being made.
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
interesting times.
Interesting times indeed. So the different scales have been useful. We moved things around when we went to the Blood Red Skies, and we made planes about that big, and then we did Cruel Seas, which was 1/300th motor torpedo boats. That's another game, for instance. I always wanted to do a game with motor torpedo boats. I was obsessed with them as a kid from reading Victor comics and things, and again, so I'd ask for it to be made, and Paul would put it on the list of things to be done, and then would always say to me very kindly, "We can't quite fit it in this year, John." I said, "Oh, all right." And then after the second year, he said, "Yeah, I think year 3 it might go in." I said, "You don't want to make this game, do you?" He said, "No, I don't." I said, "Right, I do. It's going in, and I'm the boss." "All right, we'll make it." And so we made it. It was a very successful game. Again, but if you'd ask people, do they want a motor torpedo game from World War II? No, it doesn't sound very interesting. Give me another Panther tank. Yeah. But there's only so many Panther tanks you can have. There really are.
Yeah.
So different scales with the epic ones. Then we dabbled a bit because we got the Judge Dredd license, which we've just decided to drop it just last week. We've had it for a number of years, and it's done quite nicely. And we got the Doctor Who license as well, which was beautiful models, some of our best models we've ever made. And of course, we've got the Dad's Army license, which is lovely, very charming. So we've done a bit of everything.
Without giving away any secrets, what's the future for Warlord? Like, what are your ambitions, I suppose?
Ambitions. Well, I always tell everybody everything. I'm terrible. I always get into trouble with the marketing department. Don't tell people what you're going to do. Can't help ourselves. I'll try and be disciplined. Well, as you know, we just re-released Bolt Action. That's Bolt Action 3 is just coming out, and we're working on what should be out in July. Will be the British book.
Sure.
And we've taken the Commonwealth out of that. That's going to be a completely separate book, a bigger book. So we have the British and Commonwealth on will be another book. And we're doing the same with the Italians. The Italians will be on their own, not lobbed in with all the other of Hitler's jackals, Romanians and things. And so that's going to be exciting. Then the mighty September comes Conflict 47. Which is a game we've had for 5-6 years.
Andy's writing that, isn't he?
Yes, and we've got Andy Chambers to rewrite it. The guys who had it before were called Clockwork Goblin, 4 or 5 really nice blokes who, again, but had real jobs. They were all doing, one was a major in the army, I think, and they all had proper jobs. So they tried to fit it in their evenings and weekends, and it's amazing they got as much done as they did. But we bought them out a year or 2 ago, so it's now our property, and we're taking it in a different direction. And we're giving Andy quite a lot of leeway of where he's going to take it.
Sure.
It's going to be very sinister, that's for sure. And There's going to be some fantastic plastic models in the opening set. It will of course have walkers in there. There's going to be no secret. We showed some off the other day, some walkers and some jump troops for the Americans. A very heavily armoured German infantry, and the German armour is like shaped like spiders, spinners, horrible nasty things. That's going to go really well, and it's the first. Well, all our stuff is popular with our staff, but it's the first product that we've had everybody from the girls packing the product to the design studio to the salesman all getting really excited. I guess it's because it reminds them of other games. I don't know what it is, but it's really hit the zeitgeist.
I suppose, like, compared to your other offerings, it is slightly different, given it's
Yeah, and so everybody's absolutely mad for it, which is good news.
Yeah.
So that's the most exciting thing. Is Conflict. We'll certainly do a couple more epic sets yet to come out. A few more tanks we're going to do. We're going to do the what's the next tank? We're going to do a plastic Chaffee tank and a Panzer II, because after all these years we've never done a Panzer II, which saw sterling service in Poland and France, of course, and Russia and the desert, and probably a BT-7 for the Russians. The precursor to the T-34. We'll do one of those in plastic, I think. So we'll carry on doing modelling there.
Yeah, lovely.
So that's probably enough to keep you going.
Yeah. There'll still be people wanting more, of course.
Well, you go to Salute, for instance, the big show in London. You take down all your new releases, and you show off your American War of Independence stuff. And you say, what about these? And they say, well, those are great, but what's next? And you think, well, these are next. We haven't released them yet. Come on, give us a break. But
it's a good problem to have,
it is. But we're all just keen. It is. Yeah. It's great. I mean, gamers are wonderful people. They're just excited for you, and we're excited by their reactions. You know, and you're doing something right when they're asking for more. Yeah.
Paul Sawyer's passing a couple of months ago. You talk about the impact he had on both the company, but wargaming in general. I mean, me as a teenager, he was the White Dwarf editor, fat bloke
with his white scars.
Yeah, exactly, and his Beastmen from the.
You see, they just sold the other day.
They did, didn't they? Yeah.
$2.5 grand. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So you say a few words, I suppose, about his kind of legacy. Really in wargaming.
Okay. It's a shame that Paul's not here. Paul sadly died 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was my running mate very much so, and helped me with the business so much. Even naming the business, as I mentioned. Paul was a legend in his own lunchtime, old fat bloke, as he was called, from with his love of bacon sandwiches and his white scars Marines, his amazing Beastmen that he painted, Tale of Four Gamers and White Dwarf editor. Cheeky chappy, unreconstructed sort of bloke, I would say, from Mansfield. Used to be a caster, for God's sake, at Eastwood, and if you can survive that, you can survive anything, I can tell you. Happy days. But we already miss him at Warlord. A few people said, who's going to replace him? And of course she said, well, you can't replace him. I said, you can do your best to cover his work, but we've got 2 or 3 people who are covering the stuff he did, and now they're beginning to understand what on earth he did, because he used to work seven days a week. He just did. He was a monster, but loved doing it, and so, we're missing Paul a great deal. Full of common sense and good judgment. And what we're going to do is we're fighting hard to keep his voice about the products, about fun. What is Warlord? We need to fight hard to keep that, because companies have a character.
He was certainly a character.
He was a character. And it's sometimes good to shed skins. That's you do have to move with the times, even terminology's changed. There's stuff we can make 17 years ago we can't make now. You didn't want to cause offence, or you didn't think you possibly could cause offence, but people can take offence about anything. So you think, oh, blimey, who would have thought? So we're perhaps a little more careful with our wordings these days, but we miss his character and good cheer, because he was well respected across the world for his abilities, and but we'll get by for you, Paul, and do you proud. Thanks for the opportunity, Tom.